Here I am again. I had to give up my computer because the council found out my IP address. But they still don't know who I am. That's very good. Since the council has more or less ignored my ultimatum, here is the second part of the historical excursion on the subject of my species. I've decided to vocalize the texts in English and use English and German subtitles because it's easier that way. So it goes on now. This will be a bit more extensive now, so I have to split it up. Our arrival here in the solar system took place in 6182 BC, after only 17 jumps with the based propulsion. In addition, the following are highly developed insect-like creatures that we found on another planet. They have a quantum chemical brain and thus not only telepathic-like abilities, but also the ability to bend space-time. We enslaved them after this discovery and used it to explore the universe. Only thanks to them did we discover other reptiloid species and their genetic relationship to us. Unfortunately, many died during the jumps. In the 17 jumps we lost 12 of them. Even before our ship entered orbit, we knew that there was highly developed life on Earth, which we called Caltech. Our spaceship, the Agartha, remained in orbit while we explored Caltech with smaller ships. We found a place where we wanted to build our base. It was in Africa on the territory of Egypt today. We were fascinated by humans and wanted to explore them. Never before have we discovered such highly developed mammals. Especially the fact that they did not nearly die of fear in space made them interesting for us. The idea of using a brain part and a quantum well with them sounded promising for our further expansion. A team of surgeons was busy finding a transplant method. However, it failed in 93 out of 100 attempts. I don't need to mention how cruel these experiments were and that I want to distance myself from them. During the construction of the Egyptian base we were attacked by a horde of wild humans. Our captain and 3 scientists, including the scientific expedition leader, died. The loss of leadership hit us hard. We had to choose a council to decide on the course of the expedition. 3 advocates, this means advisors, were elected, each of whom was able to decide on a specific area and had to consult together on all aspects of the expedition. The areas were military, research and diplomacy. For the time being, we withdrew to the Agartha to produce more weapons with which we could defend ourselves. At that time our astronomer discovered a gigantic spaceship heading for Earth. We flew there, and found a several kilometers large mobile space station. The crew had probably not been alive for thousands of years and the life support was of course not functioning. It took a research team several years to review the records and translate their language. Meanwhile, we carried out excavations on Caltech to fathom the evolution of life here. After the end of the research on the alien ship, we gained many new insights. The ship was called Nibiru and the species that built it was called Anunnaki. They were apparently the most advanced reptiloid species there was. The technology on the ship was impressive even for us. The Anunnaki had mastered genetic manipulation, and according to their records, bred from monkeys, humans. They were also superior to us in interstellar propulsion. With quantum overload they were able to increase the speed of light up to 60 times. So their ships could cover. The Anunnaki had a computer program with which one can easily reproduce protein folds on the basis of DNA. This enabled them to use DNA to calculate how a subject develops from birth into adulthood. We used this to find out how to encode information in the brain. It gave us the decisive advantage of being able to linger unrecognized among people and learn from them. We also did research on cultivating brains in humans. Thanks to the preparatory work of the Anunnaki, this was a great success. We were able to develop a kind of intermediate system that connected the 2 brains, the electrochemical and the quantum chemical. Our technicians built the first quantum overload powered ship, breaking through the 300,000 km per second barrier. With the construction plans, research documents, and some people for further experiments, one of our people flew back to Outpost 1 with the experimental ship, where he handed over the results to a scientific team. They immediately started to convert all stationed ships to quantum overload. At that moment the war against the broke out. They attacked Outpost 1 and conquered it. Our expedition member escaped and flew back. Most of the scientists from the research team and the humans could be evacuated. The base, with many converted ships under reconstruction, fell into the hands of the enemy. What happened then, we learned later from the But that's another story that only becomes interesting when I tell about our arch-enemies, the 7th Legion. At least with instantiation technology, we were indistinguishable from humans. It also solved another problem. We had no women on our expedition. Without aging, we could not die naturally, but we could not replace the crew members killed by humans. We had to reproduce differently. We also had problems in our real bodies with the low oxygen content in the Earth's atmosphere, and with food digestion. I think I'll have to elaborate on that a bit. Our ancestors were abandoned on another planet. There we and our food took different evolutionary paths than on the Caltech. But to digest food you have to develop in the same biosphere as food. Like other animals, we gain energy from split proteins. In our stomachs, as in humans, there are enzymes that break down proteins. If completely unknown proteins are added, they cannot be broken down. A human being cannot eat everything that other animals eat either, due to the specialization of species in niches. Many animals digest food that is indigestible or toxic to humans. Human food, on the other hand, is fatal for some animals, such as chocolate for dogs. There was hardly anything we could eat. But we could digest boiled human meat. The fact that we eat people raw is an exaggeration. We could kill them with a bite to the throat, but not eat them raw, unlike the Earth reptiloids. We built a new base between the rivers Tigris and Euphrates in the area of Mesopotamia where we continued our research. There the people knew the legends of Anunnaki, so we pretended to be them. There we also created Earth reptiloids. But about that later. We steered the useless wreck of the Nibiru into the sun. We landed Agartha, on Earth at the South Pole, in a nuclear-blown crater. There we stored the ship, together with most of our previous reptiloid bodies. Some did not want to become weak humans, they remained in their actual bodies, at least for the time being. Another expedition to our home planets to hand over research documents found out that no technology works on our home world anymore. This was the result, as we learned later, of the use of a quantum barrier field and a generator of ultra-strong magnetic pulses, which was well hidden. From Mesopotamia we also coordinated the construction of further bases in other areas. Egypt, Central America, Asia, kingdoms were built everywhere under our rule to tame people and make them more civilized. However, we noticed how much the Anunnaki made the people look like themselves. We could not ignore that. They were more creative than we were, but just as insidious, vengeful, and greedy as we were. None of these qualities were found in monkeys, so they were retrofitted by real Anunnaki. The Anunnaki also made people very gullible and susceptible to hypnosis and equipped them with a perception filter. We could not and did not want to reverse this with humans, because there were too many. To trigger a flood, as the Anunnaki did at back in the time, and selectively saving individuals with desired characteristics, that was out of the question, because it would have narrowed the gene pool too much. In addition, it was very much in line with our plans. People should develop their creativity and become more technologically advanced to one day help us lead our home world back into the technological age. We began to teach people. For this purpose we chose people whom we initiated into our secrets. These initiates also brought our knowledge forward. They worshipped us and made us gods and pharaohs. Each of us had human disciples. Unfortunately there were also conflicts among us. From my point of view it was completely understandable that the council and some others could not please everyone. There was more than one unpopular decision. Colton Trezaruk, who did not agree with our laws and values, rebelled against the council. From then on he called himself Colton Mavius. In one of our languages Mavius means death. He became hungry for power and researched how he could control people more easily. His ruthlessness earned us an increasingly bad reputation among the people. Fewer and fewer people wanted to learn from us. We became demons for them. We were weakened by our internal strife. I and a few others took advantage of this to free the captured and hybrids. Fortunately, no one found out that I was one of those responsible. We didn't need her ability anymore anyway. The hybrids brought them home in cold sleep in a stolen ship. I haven't regretted that to this day. Unfortunately, the council we found, or rather, we were found by Atlok, who called her the Grey. They also use container bodies, but specially bred ones, that can handle a wide range of atmospheres, food, and other biosphere properties. They are also interested in humans. Over time, the came back to Earth. They used so-called KAUM, autonomous particle clouds. Their method was similar to ours. Their actual bodies remained at home, while the consciousness of a was holographically transferred to the particles. These are nanomachines with quantum storage. They work with spin overlays. The nanomachines could cannibalize and reorganize themselves to fertilize an egg in human females. The virgin births in history were mostly them, yet Jesus was not one of them, since drones are all female. We found, or rather, we were found by Atlok, who were called by human the Grey. They also use container bodies, but specially bred ones, that can handle a wide range of atmospheres, food, and other biosphere properties. They are also interested in humans. Over time, the came back to Earth. They used so-called KAUM, autonomous particle clouds. Their method was similar to ours. Their actual bodies remained at home, while the consciousness of a was holographically transferred to the particles. These are nanomachines with quantum storage. They work with spin overlays. The nanomachines could cannibalize and reorganize themselves to fertilize an egg in human females. The virgin births in history were mostly them, yet Jesus was not one of them, since drones are all female. That's all for today. I hope you learned something. Soon we'll follow part 2 of our history on Earth. I strongly recommend to subscribe me, to not miss any new episode. I will tell you anything. Our beliefs, our wars, Illuminati occultism, their abuse they do to children, the plans behind New World Order. But that's all now for the moment. See you soon.